Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Pearson, your elementary ELL teacher. Today we're going to do the informative oral retell for first grade journeys, lesson 18. Our anchor text is Where Does Food Come From? Written by Shelley Rotner and Gary Goss. Photographs by Shelley Rotner. So for this lesson, we're going to turn and talk. That means I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to think about your answer. You can pair up with a partner at home, or I can be your virtual partner. Then you're going to share your thinking out loud in a complete sentence or sentences. So, where does food come from is nonfiction. Nonfiction books teach us information and facts. Nonfiction is real. It has text features, photographs. Real topics might be holidays, animals, and sports. For this lesson, we need to review our vocabulary and sight words because you may use them in your answers when we talk about the text and retell the facts we know. So, our first word is food. Food is what you eat. It is nourishment. Food. Number 2, first. First means before all others, to begin. First. Number 3, ground. Ground is the surface of the earth or dirt. Ground. Number 4, sometimes. Sometimes means occasionally or not all the time. Sometimes. Number 5, under. Under means below. Under. Number 6, these. These means the ones nearby. You could also say those. These and those. Number 7, right. Right means immediately or at once. Right. Number 8, your. Your means belonging to you. Your. So here's our learning target. I can tell the main topic and key details of the text. Where does food come from? Using pictures and words. Success criteria. That means how will you know you're successful at telling the main topic and key details of the text? Here are our steps to success. I will, number 1, answer the talk about it questions. 2, I will circle and say the author's purpose of the passage. 3, I will say and match what the text is mostly about. The most important thing. I will, number 4, read and match what the author wants us to learn. And 5, I will say and match 1 to 2 detail sentences to each retelling picture. Let's go over our turn and talk rules. If you have a partner at home, make sure you're eye to eye and knee to knee. That means you're facing and looking at the speaker. Number 2, first one person talks, the other person listens. Number 3, then the next person talks, the other person listens. 4, do not talk too long on your turn, or your partner will not have time to have a turn. So you may agree with me, and if so, you could say, I agree with you because, and tell me why. Or you may disagree and say, I disagree with you because, and tell me why. So here's the first important detail from our text. You can reread about it on page 93 of the First Grade Journeys textbook. And here's your question. Where does hot cocoa come from? Where does hot cocoa come from? So you can say out loud, hot cocoa is a food that comes from. Hot cocoa is a food that comes from. Well, hot cocoa is a food that comes from the cocoa bean, and the cocoa bean grows from a tree. Here's our next important detail. You can reread about it on page 94 of our Journeys textbook. Where does apple juice come from? Where does apple juice come from? So you can say apple juice comes from. Well, apple juice comes from apples, and apples grow on trees. Our next question, what are some things made from apples? What are some other things made from apples? So you can say other food made from apples are, food made from apples are, well, other food made from apples are apple pie, apple sauce, apple butter, like a jam. There's lots of things that are made from apples. Number 3, here's our next important detail. You can reread about it on page 96 of our Journeys textbook. Number 1, French fries are made from potatoes. Where do potatoes grow? French fries are made from potatoes. Where do potatoes grow? So you can say potatoes grow. Well, potatoes grow underground. They grow in the dirt. Here's our last important detail. You can reread about it on page 111 of our Journeys textbook. What is your favorite food? Where does it come from? What is your favorite food? Where does it come from? So you can say, my favorite food is, it comes from, my favorite food is, it comes from, sorry, that's my dog barking. My favorite food is ice cream, and it comes from milk from cows. So why did the author write the text, where does food come from? Well, it's as easy as pie, P-I-E. The author wrote the text to either persuade, so P stands for persuade, and persuade means to convince the reader of a certain point of view, or the author wrote the text to inform, I stands for inform, to teach or give information to the reader, or entertain, E stands for entertain, and entertain means to hold the attention of the reader through enjoyment. Main idea, the main idea is what a text is mostly about. Look at the title and pictures. Sometimes the main idea is in the first and last sentence. Look for clue words repeated over and over. So you're going to say the main idea and important details from the text. So retell of where does food come from. The author wrote the text to either persuade, P, persuade, or the author wrote the text to inform, give information, I stands for inform, or the author wrote the text to entertain, E stands for entertain, the reader. So why did the author write the text? Did the author write the text to persuade the reader of a certain point of view? Or did the author write the text to inform, give information to the reader? Or did the author write the text to entertain the reader? So say it out loud. The author wrote the text to inform the reader. It is mostly about, what is it mostly about? Where does food come from? It is mostly about where food comes from, just like the title says. Here are four details or facts that support the main idea. First, where does hot cocoa come from? First, hot cocoa comes from, first, hot cocoa is a food that comes from cocoa beans. They grow on trees. Second, where does apple juice come from? Second, apple juice comes from, well, apples are picked right off the tree. You press them to make juice. Third, where do potatoes grow? Third, potatoes grow, well, French fries come from potatoes, and potatoes grow under the ground. Fourth, what is your favorite food and where does it come from? Fourth, my favorite food is, it comes from, well, your favorite food comes from somewhere. What is it? In conclusion, the author wants us to learn about, what does the author want us to learn about from this text? The places where food comes from. All right, time to reflect on your learning. What was our learning target? I can tell the main topic and key details of the text. Where does food come from? Using pictures and words. Would you give yourself a 4? I could teach this lesson. I easily answered the questions. I retold the main idea and I retold all four details out loud from those pictures. If so, give yourself a 4. Or would you give yourself a 3? I could help someone with this lesson. I answered most of the questions, I retold the main idea, and I retold 3 details out loud. Or would you give yourself a 2? I understood some of the lesson, I answered some of the questions, I retold the main idea, and I retold 2 details out loud. Or would you give yourself a 1? I did not understand this lesson. I was not able to answer the questions. I did not retell the main idea, and I did not retell the details out loud. So, how do you think you did? 4, 3, 2, or 1? All right, boys and girls, thank you for reading with me and talking about the text, Where Does Food Come From? Have a great day.